Welcome to the Mean Green Show.
Every day, get down.
Welcome to the Mean Green Show.
Every day, get stronger.
Let's go. Welcome to the Mean Green Show.
Every day, get better.
Welcome to the Mean Green
What up?
What's going on?
JG, what's up?
Living life.
JG, you got a refreshed look today. Are you refreshed?
I am.
What made you refreshed?
Sleep.
Sleep. Slept Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
I took a nap today.
You took a nap?
I took a nap
Refreshed.
today.
I am not going to take a nap today. But I didn't wake up as early as you. I woke up like at 7:30. So
That's fair.
You probably woke up, what, 4:30?
4:45.
Yeah, I didn't wake up 4:45. I probably didn't go to sleep till about 1 or 2. So, well, good. Glad you're refreshed because we have a dope episode for you guys today. Let's start with that with a comment because I love comments. How do you feel today? Like, what was your day like? Did you work out today? Which gym did you go to? Which boot camp did you go to? What class did you? Who was your trainer? Who did you work out by? Like, come on, give us some love. We want to know what's up.
There we go.
But no, we've been talking about adjustments.
Yep.
And the first episode, shout out to the first episode when we talked about adjustments. What was your feedback or what was your train of thought after we processed and finished the podcast?
I thought we tackled a lot of aspects of fear that was pretty solid. I think we got some good feedback as far as people
Absolutely.
kind of, I don't know. I think that was a really good one to introduce because a lot of people understood exactly what we're talking about in that one.
And for me personally, it opened me up on camera where I guess I thought thoughts, but I never maybe said it out loud or I had to process some of the questions and like, dang. So today, man, we're still going to go over adjustments.
Yep.
And if you notice, it's all a mentality. JG, what are we talking about today on adjustments?
Man, today we are talking about you being who you are. You are who you are.
You are who you are.
Yes, sir.
Man, this can go so many routes.
Absolutely.
And I guess, how do we open up with that? Can we start with fitness, just working out?
Yeah.
And then we'll see where that blossoms to. When someone enters that early boot camp or comes to that last class of training throughout the day, the way they come in with their body language, the words that they speak, does that mean anything to you as their leader in that hour?
Definitely. I think you kind of see who people are at that point in time based on their energy, based on their effort, kind of how they're interacting with you during the day. So.
Absolutely. I studied Tony Robbins, man, for years, and he would do things to create like a paradigm shift right in that moment. So the yell when I initially kind of brought to everybody, like the movie Step In, Mooey!
Yeah.
Like, it is to shock your system with sound and movement and different incantations, right? So I used to do one called Result Magnet where in the middle of boot camp, they'd be doing like up downs, right? Quick feet, down, bye, hit the ground, up, down. And I would say, who are you? And they had to hit themselves and say, I'm a result magnet. What I was doing to them was anytime I'd say result magnet going forward, they were going to remember mentally where they were at and how it felt.
Yeah.
So we did food journals where people this was a long time ago, okay? But with food journals, they would fill out their food journal, and I would go over and give them some suggestions for the next week. We might need to bring this back. But I had an open policy where people could text me, but that's when I only had like 20, 30 people that I trained overall. But people would text me and say, hey, I'm at the grocery store, and I'm by this Snickers bar. What do I do? And I would text them a result magnet. And what that did was bring them back to a place where they were at boot camp. So that incantation helped them make a better decision to either pass that Snicker bar up or suffer the next time I see them at boot camp because, they ate a whole bunch of stuff they shouldn't have ate.
Absolutely.
So when people come in, that's my goal, is to do that incantation with them to shift them. So with what we're talking about today, you are who you are. I really want to concentrate, especially with working out, your body language when you come in to the gym, your body language when you're deciding to make a decision for yourself, and also like the things that you say. Like if you come into the workout and you say, oh, this workout is going to suck. I'm not going to do well today. I'm not good enough today, or blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go past working out. Yeah. But, Jared, first question I have for you is, what moment do you have as a trainer? Not as someone that works out, but as a trainer, as a leader, What moments do you catch yourself having to say something positive for you to overcome what you're potentially seeing or thinking?
Um, I mean, sometimes I think as members
Mm-hmm.
aren't the most positive. And for me, like my entire being during a workout is to spread positivity.
Yeah.
So I think that there are moments where I catch myself
Yeah.
with just a bunch of negative energy. So I'm going to be honest. If y'all watching from boot camp, y'all know y'all do this sometimes. But
Uh-oh.
you put a workout out there, and what? We got to do what? Oh, we got to do. Oh, man.
It doesn't matter what workouts are for.
So you'll get literally the entire group complaining.
Yeah.
Or as we're doing the workout, cussing at you, XYZs. So for the most part, obviously, we handle that all
Right.
day. But yeah, there are those times where it's like, would y'all just work out?
Yeah.
So having to overcome that, there are those moments where
That's real.
I do
That's a
have
good
to,
one.
yeah, just kind of talk to myself like positivity, and it's I think having strong self-talk allows you to overcome pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Because there have been times where I think any normal person might have
Yeah.
broken.
That's
But
real.
positive self-talk.
If my dad's online, I would love for him to give us an emoji down below. So I call him Homie G. He has a lot of
Homie G.
names. He got Pastor, Pops, but he has a quote, Jay, I want to share with you and everybody else. He says that if you talk to yourself and it's intelligent, it's not weird. And I grew up hearing that because obviously if you see somebody that's, and I'm saying this being sensitive to anybody that's dealt with this or knows someone, but I'm just trying to create a point. If you see somebody on the corner and they're talking to themselves because maybe they had a rough path or maybe they're on drugs or high or something at that moment, we think, oh, when you talk to yourself, you're crazy.
Yeah.
That's sometimes the initial thought. But what my father installed in me at a very young age was it depends what you tell yourself. So it kind of goes into words of affirmation,
Yeah.
right? When I wake up with my kids and I take them to school and they're in the back seat, I'm like, all right, Bubbles, who are we? I'm powerful. I'm smart. I am intelligent. So they go on and on about these words, but they're not crazy because they tell themselves that they're smart or they're fearless or they're bold. And I do the same thing. I do it before I get on podcasts. I do it before I get on the stage to speak. I do it before I go on stage at church. I say that even before I take class. When I lead the class, I'm about to be the best trainer they've ever seen. I'm about to change somebody's day. And yeah, I think I do that because I'm sometimes at moments where maybe I wasn't in the most positive situation prior to taking that mic or prior to taking that floor to train. So that's our challenge. Number one that I want to start with you guys is the things that you say to yourself, like it's key.
Yeah.
And if you don't say things to yourself, try it out. Like
Absolutely.
what do you have to lose? But like think about that, Jay. Like if someone comes into class and maybe they're intimidated, it's their first class, and they come in and say, "I will not quit." Like even if somebody heard you saying that, like what else can go? Like what's negative about that? But what could possibly be positive from that?
Yeah.
Maybe you actually believe what you said. Jay, I got an idea. I know what I want to talk about now in this podcast.
I have an idea too.
We'll go with yours first.
Okay.
What you got?
So I wanted to kind of take a spin off on what you just talked about, obviously.
Okay.
So positive self-talk is, I think, a big thing. But this podcast is about adapting, right? Adapting and moving forward with change. But with our topic, you are who you are, I think one of the big things that we need to focus on overall, like big umbrella, is acceptance.
Yeah,
And with that, it's accepting who you are.
absolutely.
One of my own personal issues, I think that was, stopping me from progressing in careers and getting things done was, I think, procrastination.
I like that.
And for me to get past that, for me to adapt and grow from that, the first thing I had to do was, one, accept, but two, realize that that was who I was. I was a procrastinator. And until you actually realize what it is that's holding you back from getting where you're trying to go, I think it's hard to make the proper changes you need to make to get there. So
Was that hard to say, like, I'm procrastinating?
absolutely, because all you hear is negative things about it,
Okay.
and that might be for you too. Whatever that goal might be, it's hard to hear people. Procrastination is X, Y, Z. Oh, don't procrastinate. Oh, and you'll hear the people talking bad about it. So obviously that sits in your head, and nobody wants to be that person,
That's real.
right? Nobody wants to be the person that
that.
embodies the thing that's so negative. So no, I don't procrastinate, and then you find excuses and find reasons that's not who you are. Like, oh no, I was tired. I didn't procrastinate. I was just tired.
I like that.
No, so
I like that. As you're counseling me, I'm processing because it's real. Because any meeting that helps people become better, you first must acknowledge and confirm what you've done or who you are.
absolutely.
Right? And hearing that, I think it's easy because you got to be careful with the gym in boot camp. It kind of reminds me of I'm starting to see commercials. I start really seeing them during football games. The meta world. Did you see
Yeah.
any of those commercials this past weekend?
No.
It was basically I seen a scene of someone introducing to someone, and they looked a certain way, but their face was on a body that they wanted, and they was shaking a hand of somebody else. And it was like, "Welcome to Meta," right? So it's coming, right? And I think you have to be really careful in the way that you create your gym, your boot camp, because we can bring a certain image. Better way of saying this, because I heard this so much, take off your church clothes. Because we can easily put on our church clothes when we go to church, but we leave church, we are a totally different person,
Absolutely.
right? So I believe the person that gets helped in whether it's church or any other spirituality route that you encounter is you go to that space and be who you are. That's the only way you're helped, if you are who you are.
Absolutely.
And it's the same way with our gym. This is why I love about boot camp. This is what I love about Mean Green gyms. I love how everybody come in and they just who they are. And it's not that they're perfect. They just who they are. And everybody's here to grow. When you said that, it was conviction on my part. So you said that you dealt with procrastination while you were counseling me. I began to think while you said that. I was like, man, who am I right now? Or what season did I just conquer? And I think the thing that came to me was, I want to say, like, you used one word, and I'm trying to find one word. So help me on this one word.
I got you.
I've dealt with a season of limiting me or making things bigger than what they should have been because I'm bigger than that, or I believe in something that's bigger than that. But, man, I really went through that. This is 22. I would say from the spring to now, I've been battling that. Like, I've really been battling that.
You've been battling, doing things, wanting to do things bigger than what you're explaining.
I will do things that are bigger than me. I will do things that I've never seen before. The wildest dreams that I've ever had, I want and will conquer them and achieve them. But to be transparent, like, I've been going through a season where it's like, man, I did good. Like, this is not bad. Why do you have to go there, right? And when you said that, I am publicly saying that right here on this podcast. I am not, I use this term, you know it, I am not a mini-me.
Yeah.
I am better than my thoughts, especially if they haven't been as big as my dreams.
Yeah.
So I wanted to dump that on everybody because, like, man, when you said that, that's what came to my mind. Like I'm bigger than my thoughts when they're not where they should be, if that makes sense. So thank you for sharing that because it convicted me.
Absolutely. I like that. I think a lot of people thinking about that, it kind of brought me to a place because a lot of people see you as successful, right? Own a gym, family taken care of, all of that good stuff. Pretty successful. So to hear you say, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing big enough, I think it just goes on to what a lot of successful people do, right? So a lot of people that are successful, they still work their butts off every single day to get more success. And I think that just goes about the way that you do think. You're just big thinkers. So like once you reach a certain goal, there's more growth you have to make. So there's always still adjustments that you're making throughout your life. So I just think that that's obviously interesting to hear, and I think it's pretty cool to know that, you know, even when you do gain success, there are new problems that
Absolutely.
arise. So
Absolutely. And part of it is being at a place of discomfort, fear, as we just mentioned the last episode, which fuels me, honestly, when I use it the right way. And to be explicit about what I was saying earlier, just so people don't think I'm out here wilding, mine's is more, when I was younger, I thought I was just a basketball player. And you would hear that growing up. Oh, you're smart. You can go to college and get a degree. I don't want to go to get a degree. I just want to go to the league, you know. And people would tell you you're more than an athlete.
Yeah.
Right. So now where I'm at, I think anytime my birthday come and anytime, and thank you guys for all the birthday wishes and inboxes and texts and gift cards and money and
all
cash apps and gifts and thank you. My birthday and New Year's is kind of a time where it's like, I don't know why, a process. I'm like,
yeah,
all right, what am I going to do now? You know, and processing that, I'm a gym owner, right? Family man. I help direct my father's ministry at church. And I began to say this online as I'm thinking, when I say online on this podcast, like I'm so much more than that. So like I'm starting to kind of dabble a little bit with real estate. And it's like, that's so uncomfortable to me. But, like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And I think that begins to go into those adjustments and go specifically into what we're talking about today. I have to now call myself in the morning who I am. Like, man, I'm a strategic investor. So that doesn't limit me to just buying a residential or commercial. I might want to buy trailer park. I might want to go buy shopping centers. I may want to go buy land. I'm a strategic investor. That doesn't limit me. I may say, hey, I am a fitness enthusiast that grows businesses. That don't limit me to just growing a gym or boot camp. I can now do that with online. I can do that with other trainers. I can mentor other gyms, other boot camps. So I'm very careful now with not just saying the word, because you can say it and not believe it.
Yeah.
So I'm really been intrigued now with these dreams that I have to really not limit me as a person, because, again, the things that I teach my sons, I do have to step back and say, oh, okay, I got to do it too. So not that I'm doing bad.
Yeah.
I just want to really execute the dream.
I like that. Kind of want to go back to what you said about being a basketball player. And hopefully I can relate to like one of y'all. Maybe you're in a position right now where you are, you know, trying to make a change and you're trying to shake an old identity. Maybe that's what you're trying to do. I just want to focus on that just from an athlete standpoint. So, I know I played football, so I talk about football quite a bit. But that was a point in time where I really had to figure out who I was, because my mom, great job on my mom, but she's always, you know, I'm more than an athlete. I was smart. Why didn't you want to be a doctor? All that kind of stuff. So she had already, you know, put into my head that I could pretty much do whatever I set my mind to. But for me, playing football, I was a football player.
Yeah.
So once that was done, I really, at that point in time when adjustments had to be made, like I really had to sit down and discover, like, who am I?
Yeah.
What am I good at? What are your passions? What are you, like, what is your purpose? What do God put you on this earth for?
Absolutely.
Who are you here to serve? What are you here? So that was a very crucial time for me. And like I said, maybe one of you guys are in that position right now where you are having to sit down and kind of recalculate your life, figure out who you are, what your purpose is, all that kind of stuff. And I just think that's vital. Like, that's self-reflection.
Absolutely.
And if you've never done that, I think it's important to do that, because maybe if you are feeling stuck, like feeling like you've capped out at a certain spot, or feeling like there's more room for you to grow, then I feel like personally maybe you haven't evaluated who you are enough and what your purpose is and where you want to be headed, and if right now what you're doing is in correlation to that. So
Well said. Freaking well said. Jared Garcia, check this out. I read this morning. And it's interesting how I read this now. It's a part of what I'm about to present to the table, right?
Oh.
Because at the end of the day, the Mean Green Show is not about just throwing some things on the table and walk away. Like, we want to be the vessel that help people make the best decision moving forward. So I know someone's hearing like, okay, I need to acknowledge who I am. I get that there's progression that need to take place, but what happens next?
Yeah.
How do I do that? I got something.
Here we go.
I read this morning. And I think it's a guy named Jamal that I follow on Instagram. He said, you are who you are based upon the exposure you see. So the things that you're exposed to will limit you to what you will produce, right? So if by any means, if I was stuck in my garage and I only seen the workouts that I created, that's my exposure. I would never grow beyond that, or it may be really, really difficult because I'm not exposed to anything else. But if I literally get to my phone or I go to different gyms, talk to other fitness enthusiasts, and I get to see what they're doing, it opens my horizon, right? It
Absolutely.
opens my perspective, and I can make different adjustments to produce a specific thing. So that's the question I have for everybody that's on listening or watching. It's like, what's your exposure? Like, if you really – that's the beauty of bootcamp and gym, right? I'm not against personal training. I do personal training, right? I would love to afford personal training. I'm just kidding. But with group, you get to meet so many different people that do so many cool different things. And the cool thing about Mean Green people, they're all, like, beast in their field that they're in, right? You can be at spot 17, you see an attorney. Spot 18, that's the judge. Spot 19, that's the pharmaceutical rep. Spot 4, you know, like everybody's like principals, like everybody's like crushing the game, and you get to be exposed to so many different things. So the question I have for you guys is like, what do you want to achieve, and what are you exposed to within that? You know, if I want to get into real estate, if I don't talk to any investors, what's my exposure? Right? If I want to get into personal development on a bigger scale and I'm not around those that do it on a bigger scale, what am I exposed to? Even within fitness, you know, I love how new people come in and it's so you can see the hesitation of them wanting to talk to the coach. But I want to encourage you, man, if you're new to the program or you've been here for a while, like, pick the trainer or the coach head. Like, hey, you really want to see a difference in your body? We know nutrition's a big part of it. We know consistency is a big part of it. Hey, excuse me. Hey, Jared, I've been taking your class for the last 3 months. I've been hesitating a little bit, but what do you suggest? You know, you seen me work out for 3 months. What do you think? Or, hey, man, I noticed that I feel really stiff, and I noticed your IG, you do a really great job of posting different things for my body to feel better. What do you suggest off the movements? Like, be exposed to the answer of someone else, man, and I believe that's how winning is done, and I think that's an adjustment we all can do.
I think I say this. I love the direction that this season is going because I truly believe in episode 1 we gave you a foundation, which is conquering fear when it comes to making adjustments. And this episode we're hitting looking in the mirror.
Absolutely.
But I think one of the as you'll see as we start to get through this, it's hard to look in the mirror without first conquering that fear because a lot of the times people are afraid of what they're going to see, right? So you got to get over that to start. So that's why we started with fear. That's the first thing you got to conquer when change, get over that fear. Now, 2, we're doing the look in the mirror type thing, right?
Absolutely.
So acceptance, figuring out who you are, but you got to get over that fear. And the same thing with exposure. I think exposure can be scary because, again, you're looking in the mirror. Like now as you go expose yourself, there's like you right now. You're trying to expose yourself with the online world. It could be a little intimidating if there are things that people are just dominating and dogging, and you're not doing that.
Absolutely.
You know, I thought I was doing something.
Absolutely.
That can be discouraging. That can be all kinds of things. So you kind of got to get over the fear of what you're about to see as you expose yourself before you actually do it. So I like the steps we're taking. That's why I brought that up. So just taking it back to square one. I know he said 1, you got to see yourself. 2, you got to now expose yourself. It all starts with you getting over that fear.
Absolutely.
Like leave that in the garbage.
Got to go. And I think it's cool to point this out with online. It's a good example. I'm glad you said that. As I'm trying to, I don't want to be average. I want to dominate, right? Everything I want to dominate, right? So I'm not trying to get I'm saying this again, respectful to anybody. I don't want 50 members in our subscription base for online. I want hundreds and thousands, right?
Yeah.
I want to dominate. And for me to get exposure, it's funny. Do y'all know how many online subscriptions I have to other people's gyms and businesses and online? Like, I'm serious. I probably need to go through today and really sit down and start knocking some of them out, right? Because I like someone's aesthetic look online. I like someone else's free content that they give online. I like the other one because they have a big glossary online. I like the other one because they have multiple trainers. And I can go from Just Train to Sean T to NC Fit. I can name it. I have so many subscriptions right now, and it's not that I'm trying to, for that specifically, it's not that I'm trying to open up my eyes on workouts. I'm trying to see what they're doing to promote themselves digitally, and I want to take a little of this and put my spin on it, and take a little of this and take my spin on it so we can create something organic. But again, if I don't expose myself to different things, how in the world am I going to produce something that I've never produced? But at the end of the day, let's go here, Jay. Question I have for you. As you experience and expose yourself to different things, how do you not beat yourself up from what you're being exposed to? Because it's easy for me to see something and be like, dang, I ain't doing, man, I got a long way. So it's easy for me to beat myself up from what I'm being exposed to, but I choose not to. I use it for fuel. What do you think hearing that from the people we have the luxury to train? Like, they're exposing themselves to different people in fitness journeys, and they see people in shape, and they see people the way that they want to look or have the strength or the endurance. Like, how can they not beat themselves up for what they are now versus what they see?
Man, I'm going to be real raw, real honest right here.
Uh-oh.
Just because I think it's important. I want to say,
Go for it.
don't.
My dad would say, get all the gusto you can. I don't know where my dad be getting these little things rhymes from.
It's like I'm trying to say it nice, but I can't.
It's the Mean Green Show.
So at the end of the day, you just look in the mirror. If you see somebody, let's look at Instagram models, for instance. A lot of people, I've had this happen way too many times. This is the body I want. I just wish I could get this person's schedule. As long as they didn't have surgery, right? If this is what they did on a daily.
That's another episode. But keep going.
As long as, if they didn't manufacture that. But if they worked for it, I just wish I could get every single bit of that diet, every single bit of that workout schedule, every single bit of all of that, and say, cool, you want it?
And how
Here.
long they've been doing it.
Yeah, and how long? Years it took to get that.
I wish like Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. I wish I could take that schedule, their years of expertise and training, the money they put into it. I wish I could take all of that and lay it on your plate and say, cool, here you go.
Why don't they do that on Instagram? Instead of the caption of saying, #woke up like this, they should actually put, it took me 13 years of consistency. It took me 5 years of failure. Like I didn't know Michael B. Jordan was in the show Wire. Did you ever watch that? The Wire. The Wire.
I've seen it. I haven't watched it.
He's in there as a kid. Like, he's like a teenager,
Yeah.
a little skinny dude. It's like, that's Michael B. But, like, I can see the progression from him then to now, and I love what you said, man. Like, if somebody comes in with a picture and say, I want to look like this, like, you got to be also – I wish you can be exposed to what they're putting in. That's
But I say that, and the reason I kind of stumbled in being blunt is because a lot of people do that, and they'll say, like, I want this, or I want to be that, or look at that person. Man, it took them. Man, they did. And then you at freaking Burger King. Like, you have to accept who you are. You have to accept your faults. You have to accept the things that you do, your weaknesses, your strengths. You have to lay it all out there. If you want to be somewhere where you got to be, you have to accept what it is that you do, change it to get to where you want to be. Like, that's the bottom line. You can't keep doing the same things and trying to, get better with that. So that's kind of my big thing with that. I think if you see somebody, it's like you're talking about Michael B right now. If Michael B, let's just say Michael B was 230 pounds, and me, I'm like, man, we've been working the same amount of years. I want to be like that. But Michael B paid, $10,000 a month for a trainer, and Michael B had, all his meals prepped out and yada yada yada.
Didn't miss one meal.
Didn't miss one meal. Was very consistent, and I ate at Whataburger this morning, and tonight I'm gonna go have Gracie's for dinner, and I'm like, I just want to be like Michael B.
You going to
I was
Gracie's?
just playing, bro. I was
Don't tempt me with a good time. No, I'm messing with you. You're right, though.
But no, I'm just saying like that, and that's what I mean by that. So how do you stop yourself from beating yourself up? You look in the mirror and understand.
That's
I want to get there, but that's what they're doing to be there. Like if I need to be there, then let me start taking these steps.
It's really authentic right there. That's authentic. That's real. That's real. I'm processing that as I'm saying that's real 4 times. Yeah, might as well. So, interesting. Have you ever thought about, like, what it's going to feel like to take care of your first child?
All the time.
Right? Say, and I'm making numbers up, okay? Say it costs $50,000 a year to take care of a mini Jared.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Can you imagine not producing the financial abundance you produce now to take care of that child? Could you imagine just laying on your back saying, I'm not going to make that money. They're just not going to go to school. They're not going to have clothes. They're not going to eat. They're not going to have a roof over their head, right? Like, you would do what you're doing now to the T because you know it's going to produce what you want to produce.
Yeah.
I want to create a very image for everybody. Can you imagine taking care of 40 people in your family, and it costs you roughly $5 million a year to do that? Right?
Yeah.
40 people, $5 million, right? I'm talking about Michael B. Jordan or an actor or an actress or your favorite influencer that really changed their body. Can you imagine you getting a contract and say, hey, we're going to be filming a movie, and you need to lose 75 pounds for you to look sick in this movie, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, he has 40 or she has 40 people that cost millions. He can't show up to the day of the shoot and say, oh, man, I
Couldn't do it.
couldn't do it. Like, that taquito, the taquito with cheese, man, it just kept calling my name. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. But I know for a fact, man, when you value something that, like, think about it. If he don't produce, his mom, I'm making this stuff up, guys. I don't know his business.
Yeah.
But what if he's taking care of his mom and his father's house note? And then he's taking care of his sister and brother's tuition. And then he's paying for the nephew and niece's daycare. Like, if he stops that well, none of that progresses. So I think Eric Thomas says it best. Sometimes you got to want it more than you want to breathe.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about true success, that's an adjustment that you got to make.
Yeah.
But you can only make that adjustment if you're really true to who and what you're doing, right? I don't care. If you want a six-pack, you got to eat clean.
Absolutely.
You can come here and tell me you did 100 sit-ups and what you ate, but if your stomach ain't showing the way you wanted it to look and it's been 2 years and you telling me that you've been eating perfect, something ain't adding up.
I love it.
And at the end of the day, I think with true progression, you do have to be really authentic with yourself, man. And unfortunately, sometimes I think we're sidetracked because we see other people's highlight tapes on social media. And it's really unfair because people really do make decisions based upon other people's highlight tape.
Yeah.
And my cry to everybody that hears or sees this is, man, just it's okay to be where you're at. But, man, don't make that illusion that you're doing everything that you can and you're not.
Yeah, that's the part right there. That's the part right there. Because as trainers, I've heard it. Oh, I'm doing, and it's never about what you're not doing because you haven't truly looked in the mirror.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's important to do that, to truly analyze yourself and see what you're doing and what you're not doing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I think it's easy to overlook some of the bad things because you don't see them as big, but they're huge. Like, it's the fine details that stop you from getting where you're trying to go. Like, yeah, you can eat 3 solid meals a day, hit majority of your calorie count, but at night you ate a pint of ice cream. Like, man, I ate good all day, so I just thought I'd reward myself. Like, that pint of ice cream is the difference. That's the difference maker. Cut that out. So I like that you kind of brought up Eric Thomas because it takes it back to the book we just read. It's like treating success as your duty and your obligation. When it's your duty, so it's the same thing with the kids.
Well said.
If my kids are my duty and my obligation, I can't
There's no ifs,
fail
ands, or
them.
buts.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I can't fail them. So it's the same thing when you're setting up goals, when you're looking in the mirror, identifying who you are, and making those changes. It's your duty and obligation to create and make those changes.
Yeah.
And if that's the truth, then you can't eat
Yeah.
ice cream at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Absolutely.
You can't, because it's your duty not to.
Yeah.
You're obligated not to. So whenever you're able to attack your goals like that, whenever you're able to attack your adjustments and your changes like that, I think it truly makes all the difference.
I think we can drop the mic. I hope y'all enjoying this, man. It's so cool to talk about it as I see more people still registering for that class.
No, that's the most I've ever seen.
That's crazy. So I do believe, Jared, that hopefully us opening up, I don't want this to sound like we beating people up or whatnot, but I believe true coaching comes with true transparency.
Yeah.
And if I'm shooting jump shots and I'm missing them, and my coach is like, and I'm shooting the ball, for those that not play basketball, if I'm not fully following through and I'm shooting like this, and my coach is like, you're doing a great job, and he's not being honest and truthful with me, I would never become the way I can be if no one is that transparent with me. So I'm hoping that this transparency that we have with you guys is helping. So here's something that I think is interesting to say and think too. I want to put this out there and see what you think. I believe in writing it out and making it plain. As actually goes into my faith, as written in Scripture. When's the last time you, talking to everybody, including myself, when's the last time you wrote it out and made it plain? So I have a chapter in the book that I wrote. It's called The Pursuit of Happiness. And to this day, I still do this, more so with goal setting. If I'm booked for like a school or a business, I do this in this template. But I believe every dang, it's kind of hard to illustrate without the design. But you have this top thing that you desire at the top of your pyramid, and then below it just kind of factors out to steps to get there. And I believe everybody has this goal, but there are steps to get there. The higher you are, think of school. If you're in 11th grade, you're kind of excited about graduation, right? Because it's only a grade away, right? But if you're in the 4th grade and you're tired of school, like, man, you're not as happy. So I put in the book, the higher you are in this chart, typically the more momentum and peace and joy and everything you have, right? So this is what I truly believe. A lot of people start and they say, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds, but they don't know the journey of how to get to 50 pounds. So if you can visualize what I'm explaining, I would encourage you to do the same. I was going to put that out there. If you were interested in learning this specifically from a Mean Green member, let us know, and maybe we can hold like a workshop or something like that. But 50 pounds, you put that up top. And then at the bottom, I'll put like a couple boxes. The boxes is the foundation. The first thing I always put in the box is belief. Because if you don't believe that you can lose 50 pounds, we're wasting our time.
It's going to crumble.
So I typically will put believe. That's the foundation. Next step. And I will ask the question, hey, what do you think you need to do to lose 50 pounds? If they say the right answers, we'll write it out. If they don't, we do the research to find it. So just for the sake of the podcast, we'll say move more, eat clean, be consistent. Cool. Now with being consistent, who's going to help you with that? Oh, I'm a hire a personal trainer. And you'll notice this chart that you'll build out to get to the 50 pounds lost. So, man, write it out, make it plain. Because I believe you can find where you are on that chart. And when you do, it makes it more eye-opening. Because you may be at the top. You may almost be there. But at the flip side, you may be at the bottom. And we got some work to do. But at the end of the day, we want to get to the 50 pounds being lost. Or we want to be happy. Or we want to be medicine free, whatever your goal may be, but we got to really realize again where we're at on that chart, and I think that could be very beneficial for all of us.
I think when I thought about doing that, I also see some people kind of creating that almost like a Jenga tower. Like you might have some pieces that have like maybe you have somewhat created that in your brain. You got the top piece, you got the base, and it's not falling or anything, but you have holes in there that you kind of need to fill in.
Man.
Like
That's it. I
That
wish we
I
had
need, I need a trainer.
a
Like, that's
product,
one
a producer right now that can bring that on the
thing.
chart.
I know, right?
Actually, you keep talking. I'll be back.
So examples here, examples. I like that. But what I was saying was you could have a set. Obviously, your goals, your goal up top, your bases into it, and trying to build into the pieces. And I know he was saying be consistent. Maybe you don't know how to be consistent, or something along those lines that's missing. I think when you write it out, you're actually able to see it, and maybe you can actually fill in those holes by seeing that they're there.
Sorry, I don't want to show them the cover of this because I look 10 years old.
Results
Boom.
by CG.
So basically, I'm not sharing with y'all. So basically, we set their goals. But
Yeah.
say it was health and appearance, right? Set the goal. They believe, they get educated, they produce, they don't quit, they're consistent, whatever. But say they are at the educated part where they don't know how to get there. Then,
Yeah.
okay, that's where you're at on your chart.
Yeah.
So this is the visual that I was kind of talking about, guys. Zoom in. I still want to stay on Jared. There you go. Boom. So, again, say you're right here on your chart. Like, okay, I need to go to school, or I need to get into school, or whatever it is to actually get to a point of producing what you want to be. So, again, man, I think it's crucial for us as people to really acknowledge the importance of goal setting.
Yeah.
And, again, you are who you are, man. And it's okay to be where you're at, but if you want to go further, you got to identify, be transparent, and do what needs to be done moving on after that.
It's also funny that you said that because I think some of the best ways that I've personally handled true conflict in my life was by writing it out. It always started with identifying like who I was and where I was trying to be, and filling in. I just call it the sandwich. I had to fill it in the middle. So I think that's pretty cool.
Now, that's the missing thing on social media that should be posted. We need more people that found success to show that more so, right? Like, judge me. I don't care. But I journal.
Yeah.
I journal. Like, if you go to my iPad and look at a specific app, you will see me journaling. Like, last night's a great example. I was bored last night. I was waiting for my boys to go to sleep. And I do this thing on my phone where I just set all the things that I want to do for the task the next day.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm going to screenshot it, and I'm going to post it. And I posted it, basically what I do on the day prior or the next day. And I had so many people inbox me. I had one person who was a gym owner, and shout out to you, bro. He was like, man, I didn't know you get that much done. And he was like, I don't even realize what I get done. And it's like, how do you keep a track of what you achieve if you don't know what you're achieving?
Yeah.
So those little things. And the funny thing about that was that's everything I do before 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
If people read what I wrote, it actually said the last thing was train at 5 p.m. and be a father.
Yeah.
So by the time I get home, I'm still going to be a father, but I'm still doing other things.
Yeah.
Those were just the minimum things I wanted to get done. But there's nothing wrong with writing it out. And I think when you write things out, you make it plain. You see where you're at and where you need to go.
Yeah. I think that's real.
Man. Jay, I'm going to say this and then we can get out of here. It's funny how you went that direction because it was kind of the same direction that I wanted to go as well. I was going to call it let's do a checkup from the neck up. And basically, it's funny that you said that. Just think about what I said.
Yeah.
A checkup from the neck up. It was going to be a reality check.
Yeah.
Like, you really need to kind of check yourself. And the things that I want to talk about from the checkup from your neck up, I think we might have covered them all. It was the way that you talk.
Mm-hmm.
It was the things that you see. It was the things that you hear and the way that you think. And I was going to say, man, we need to kind of have a reality check from the checkup, from the neck up. And then he said, hey, I got something I want to talk about. And then he went right into it. That's why if y'all rewind it, you're going to see me looking like, did you just read my thoughts?
That's funny.
For real, I really was going to say a checkup from the neck up. So did we talked about the way that we speak. We talked about the way that we think.
We talked about the way that we see perspective and
what about listening?
stuff.
I think we need to hit that before we get out of here. Because you kind of said it a little bit, but you used more so visual for Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But the question I have for you to segue into this, and we'll keep it short and sweet. What about people's opinion based upon what they think you should do? Because people will look at you, and it can go both ways.
Yeah.
Because there's been times in my life where people will say, hey, man, I just want to have a couple of boot camps across the city, and someone would look at me and be like, "No, bro, like you should have gyms across the country." And I didn't see that in myself.
Yeah.
So sometimes people will see things better than you see them.
Yeah.
But then there's sometimes where people will be like, "Hey, bro, you gonna have to grow a bicep before you actually try to approach me, right?"
Yeah.
So hearing that and seeing that, what do you think is a wake up call for people when you say, "Be careful of the things that you hear"?
I think that this all starts with knowing who you are. So if I think that if you have an identity of yourself and you know who you are and you know directions you can be headed, and you know what you're trying to do, I think that when people say the right things, it'll resonate with you. And when people say things that are questionable, it's just that, it's questionable. But if you don't have that identity of yourself, when people are throwing things at you, it's hard to listen and hear what you need to be hearing. So for me, it all goes back to knowing who you are. I think that's the first step you got to take. If you don't, you'll listen to anything, or you won't listen to anything, which are both bad, because you got to listen to some things. But I feel like it's like advice. Everybody has advice for you, but there's good advice and there's bad advice.
Absolutely.
And you kind of got to take the advice that helps you get to what they or accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
I like that.
So same thing with listening. There are people that are going to say really good things. There's people that are going to say things that aren't so great. But here's the thing, though. Even with your example specifically, because you knew what you were trying to do, you knew what where you were trying to go. You might not have seen you owning multiple gyms across the country, but them saying that to you, you took what you needed out of it.
Absolutely.
You might not have felt like you weren't big enough to do a boot camp. Maybe you did, but you took from it what you needed to take from it.
Absolutely.
Like it fueled you to get a little bit bigger, right?
Absolutely.
The gyms, it fuels you to head towards that direction. So
Absolutely.
you took something from hearing both things, you listen. So and that's what it boils down to. So really and truly, you can listen to anybody and use it and shift it to the way that you need it to be.
Word. Preach, preacher. Jay, let's leave with some good stuff. I come up with these weird numbers as of last episode. I feel like I want to give them 8 things. 8. I think last time we did 5. But I think we did 5 each.
We did 10.
Yeah, so this is a step down. Out of everything we said today, let's give them 8 pointers. Let's call this section, what do you do next?
What do you do next?
All right, so after we talked about adjustments, right, and we talked about the importance of noticing and knowing who you are and how that can facet this direction or that direction. So let's give them 8 points of what to do next. We'll alternate between the two. You can go first, and then I can go, or I can go first, and then you go.
So are we saying what to do next after they look in the mirror, or is look in the mirror step 1?
I think it got to be one of the steps. Yeah. So you going with that one?
Yep, look in the mirror. That's the very first thing we got to do. We're going to leave fear at the last episode, since this is the new episode. Step 1 for this one, after the last one, is look in the mirror. But you got to conquer that fear. Understand, it's like therapy.
Yeah.
Everybody looks like therapy is not pretty.
Yeah.
And I don't think looking in the mirror is always pretty. Unless you want it to be. Unless you're putting makeup on.
Or if you're Beyonce.
But even Beyonce, if she feels like she's perfect, she wouldn't be doing everything she does. So.
True, but if I got to look in the mirror and see Beyonce, like, that's the thing. Beyonce she's a beautiful.
She is.
Like Tina could see Beyonce and say, "That's a beautiful woman," right? That has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. Number 1,
look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror. Number 2 for me would be write it out, make it plain. I'm real big on writing it out and having direction, seeing it throughout the days, the weeks, the months, the years, and then going back and see. Like, if I go back and see what I wrote in, 2012, the things that probably bothered me then or was stressful then or was like a giant to me then, I probably conquered it.
Yeah.
And looking at it like, dang, that wasn't even really a big thing. So point 2 for me would be write it out, make it plain.
Cool. So right now you look in the mirror. After you look in the mirror and see what you see, you write it out. I don't know. I said for step 2 and step 3 might be similar, but I would say game plan. I would say process. I think you got to take a minute to think about one, after you've written out the steps you need to take, how do I take those steps? So it's
like
just
that.
the game plan. You got to come up with the playbook.
That's it. No, it's totally different. Totally different. I like that. So we got mirror.
Look in the mirror,
Uh,
write it out,
Write it out.
come up with the game plan.
Process it. 4 for me would be exposure. Exposure come in different lenses. It may be reading. It may be listening. It may be booking calls. It may be seeing what other people do. I think you make better decisions with the amount of exposure that you receive and see. So that would be 4 for me. Exposure.
Exposure. I like that. Why am I thinking about this as a football person?
Hey, it's in his blood.
It is. So we said look in the mirror. We said write it out.
Write it out.
Come up with a game plan. Get exposure. Again, football respect, I don't know why, but I would say fill the seats.
It's the Texan shirt on.
Yeah, fill the seats.
Fill
I
the
think
seats.
that,
What does that mean?
In order to make a change, I just feel like you have to have a community behind you, always. So for you, fill the seats. Like, make sure wherever you're headed, it comes along with listening as well, making sure you're getting the right motivation behind you.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a big adjustment.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if there are people, even though nobody knows you better than you know yourself, there are people that know you pretty well
That's dope.
that are going to help propel you to where you're trying to go. So
I like that. I love it. Troy Aikman, I don't know if you've seen that post. Did he go to UCLA by any chance? Do you know? I
don't
want to say he did.
I have no idea.
But I don't know if he was doing the broadcast and whatever, but it took a big picture of this the amount of people that was at the game. And he was like, this is not good. And not only did they not play well, but I think it was like a 70,000 foot or square or seat arena or whatever they call it, and it was like only like 5,000 people. It was horrible. And he was like, it's about time for us to put a field on campus so we can get better feedback, and just being again a person that played in front of people, you do get momentum, man. So I played at a small school, right? So if you got like 2,000-3,000 people chanting your name, it's dope, especially in a small gym. Versus a game you walk in, it's like 50 people and it's just your parents.
Yeah.
like you get more out of it. So I do believe what Jared said, man. That's good. Like, man, fill it up and it can be really encouraging.
I like that too, because it's different when you're practicing by yourself. Like, mistakes are going to be made, obviously. It's also easy in practice, especially if you're practicing by yourself, just getting extra work in by yourself. It's easy to say, that's enough. All right, I'm good.
Yeah. I like
But
that.
in a game, in front of the stadium, in front of those seats at a field, you're not going to make very many mistakes, because you're being watched.
Absolutely.
2, you got people cheering you on. So,
Yeah.
like, fill the seats.
Well said. This is 6 or 7? This is 7.
Is it?
Golly. All right, starting from the beginning.
Yep, we had.
Y'all should be writing this down.
I know, right?
All right, write it down in the comments.
Yeah. Look in the mirror. Write it out.
Write it out.
Game plan.
After we game plan, we process.
Process.
Uh-huh.
You had.
After you process, crap, I don't remember. After you process, what do you do after you process? I don't remember. What was your next step?
Fill the seats.
Fill the seats before, filling your seats before process. Write it out. Process. I don't remember. Hopefully I wrote it down.
Hopefully I wrote it down.
If they know me, they know I will give you an idea and then forget 10 minutes later. And it's going to bother me, though. All right, let's go one more time.
It's on the audio.
I'm going to write it down in the caption below. All right, one more time. I'm going to get it this time.
So we had look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror. After looking in the mirror, we wrote it out.
Write it out. Come with a game plan.
After we came up with the game plan, we processed it. That was you.
I was game plan.
You were game plan. Shoot, now we down to 2. We forgot.
Well, I think it was maybe that's the one we're missing after game plan.
Because you came up with game plan, right?
Yeah.
After game plan. I'm forgetting all the ones I said.
So you said write it out.
Mm-hmm. You said
Write it out. Come up with a game plan.
After you have the game plan, what would you do? I don't remember, Jay. I really forgot. After you come out with a game plan,
Game planning process was the same thing. That wasn't a different step.
it wasn't. I don't even know what step it was. We're going to give y'all 2 more. What was the last one? Hopefully you remember the last one. I know they're making fun of us.
Oh man, the last one was fill the seats.
Fill the seats. Implement. All right, just do. And do even when it's uncomfortable. It still bothers me that I can't remember that stuff.
It's like
But,
eating that if you're
do even when you don't understand. Do even when it's uncomfortable. Do when nobody else sees your vision. Just do. All right, final one, and then we'll try one more time. We adding steps and trying to remember.
Believe was one of them. No, was it? I don't know.
That was in the book.
That was in the book. Oh man. Implement. That was your last one.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, that should have been the last one. I'm gonna end it like I ended the last ones though.
What was that?
Trust.
Okay. Yeah.
Trust. So, obviously, after you look in the mirror, after you go through all of these steps, I think the biggest thing you have to do is trust that where you're headed is where you need to be headed.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You simply don't know. I truly believe the only person that knows the direction you're headed in life is God. So,
absolutely.
you got to trust that what you're doing is the right thing to do. You have to trust that where you're headed is the right place to go. So
That's it.
I would say that.
That's it.
And after you implement, it's kind of like when people make decisions like, I don't know if what I'm doing is right. Heck, let me throw the example out of me coming here. I could have stayed in Nebraska, tried to start a fitness business there, or I could have came here and done it here.
Exposure.
That's
what it was. Okay, go ahead.
So, no, I don't know if y'all saw it from this angle, but as big as his eyes.
Exposure. At least it goes into our core beliefs, right? The thing you said, it was like, okay. But Nebraska.
Yeah, in doing that, I kind of had to make a decision where it was like, okay, one of these I'm not going to get to do, but like which one am I not going to live with regret with, right? Like or less regret, let's just say that. Like if I go here, am I going to regret not being able to do it here? Or if I go here, am I going to regret? Like that was kind of the decision I made. So it was just a leap of faith, trust fall for me. Like, which way am I going? And I'm just going to trust that everything that happens on this path this is the way I'm supposed to be going.
Yeah.
So I think that when making those adjustments in your life, when making those changes, if you're faced with a decision, heck, even if it's more than 2, if it's 5, trust that the one you're going on was meant for you. It's better than those 5. Even if, those seem like they could have been better. Trust that you're headed where you're supposed to be headed.
I love that. We ended there. I declare it again that I'm a freaking winner.
There we go.
Right? I declare right here on this podcast show that I'm unstoppable, that I'm more than just a trainer. I'm more than just someone that leads only one household. Like I'm impactful whatever building, whatever situation I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm creative. I'm strategic. I'm fearless. I'm bold. I'm confident. And I'm saying that to say that again because I was really being honest when you said that earlier. I really have been going through a season. So this podcast show, Jared, thank you.
Yeah.
This podcast show specifically really helped me because I do sometimes, even through some success that I found, like still be like, hey, like, you sure you can do that? So, no, I can freaking do that. So, y'all are not alone. I'm right here with you guys. You got anything?
Man, I'll just say to each and every one of you, because I see it in you guys, even for those of you that feel like you're probably the smartest person in the world, you're smarter than you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're more confident. You have more confidence than you think you have.
Absolutely.
You're more capable than you think you are. Man, not that those words. I'll leave you with that. But just understand, I think that a lot of the times, even those of us that have a lot of self-confidence, man, you're more than you think you are.
Absolutely.
Our brain limits ourselves just a little bit. and I think it keeps us grounded, and that's okay. But when it comes to making these adjustments, making these changes, remember, you're more than capable to conquer whatever challenges that might be in front of you. But what we hit today is that it's not easy. Looking in the mirror is not easy, and it's not supposed to be.
Right.
It's not supposed to be easy, but you're more than capable. So.
Right. I love it. Well said. Pink and white. We got a big month coming up.
Yes, sir.
Definitely want everybody to be a part of this. Now, you can obviously be in the city of Houston, and you can come out to the Bootcamp event. The date we have on that was
October 1st.
October 1st, so
Yes,
that's
sir.
right around the corner, depending when you're listening to this.
Next weekend, 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. So we need everybody. We need the city to come out.
Absolutely.
So that's one way you can be a part of it. We also going to have a flag football game. That's going to be
October 15th.
That's going to be epic, right? Especially if you want
wait.
to see me and Milton on the same field. That gets interesting. I don't know if I'm playing this year.
I know, Hemis.
Hemi. All right, then the third thing is a way that you can be a part of this and you don't even live in the city. We're going to have different options where you can definitely give back. So the pink and white for us, it represents breast cancer awareness, and we want to be as impactful as we can. This is not just limited to Mean Green. This is for anybody that want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So if you are part of an organization, we have one that we're giving to
The Breast Cancer Research Foundation.
Boom. So we just want to play our role and play our part. So
Absolutely.
we want to invite all of you to be a part of it as well. We
Yes,
cover
sir.
everything?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
That's it.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Hey, make sure you share if you're on YouTube. Share this, subscribe, comment down below. Give us a thumb up if you like it. If you're on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you're listening to, make sure you give us that 5-star review and give us a comment.
Yeah. If y'all thought we were tough this week,
Ooh. Are we just going to leave them with that, or are we going to get
that's
them?
it.
All right. Y'all got it.
If you want to listen to it, you better show up. Even if I wear another Texan shirt, you better be here.
All right,
All right,
guys.
dog.
Y'all take care.